Oh, so there was a back and forth?
There was a back and forth for sure.
And why did you land on The Rock kind of pushing Cody to the side? Like, what made you make that decision?
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, we have Ric Flair on the podcast today.
I've done a couple Ric Flair woos in my promos.
What a legend.
I can't do him like him though. His whole essence is in those woos.
It's his brand. It's his brand.
Ric Flair Jip go woo in the
Brand.
I woke up 45 minutes ago. I'm feeling kind of goofy.
Good. Be silly. People would like it. They'd like to see a human side of Logan Paul instead of the robotic brand side.
Dude, yeah.
Kids become a billboard. Am I right, Triple H? Honestly, bro.
Guys. We have the head of WWE Creative in the house today. He's the man. He's responsible for WWE success. He's incredible. He's also my boss. And he's here 10 minutes early. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Triple H.
Yes, sir.
Paul Levesque, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Back again.
Oh, man.
Good to see you, boss. How are you, man?
Good to see you, boss. Proxy boss. You're his boss. You're my boss.
100%. If I get fired,
We're
out.
fired.
We're out.
We're fired.
I'm no longer here.
Any,
Where's my headphones?
right here, sir. Yep, behind you. There you go. Thanks.
My head doesn't turn that far.
Dude, we were late for Triple H.
I actually think he was early.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Why did you come so early?
It wasn't so early. It was just early. I don't like to be late.
Right.
You don't keep Logan Paul waiting.
I know.
Man, the sarcasm was so heavy. So heavy.
Dude, we get a text saying he's here. He's on
here.
set. I was told 12, and I would have been here at 11:59.
Yeah, but like I don't want to be late for you. I told you I'd be here. I'm here.
You're a
Yeah.
professional, man. And the show's in the work. Wow, WWE right now is crazy.
It is. Fortunate. You said some nice stuff on the intro, but it's everybody. It's not one thing. It's everybody. It's you. It's everybody that's here. It's Rock's involvement in the moment and all that. But the thing that's cool for me is I feel right now, while people keep talking about this moment in time and wow, it's hot and you're in the middle of this hot streak, hot era, whatever they're going to call it, and people are putting names on it. But I feel like we're not in the middle of it. We're at the beginning of it. Like this WrestleMania 40 this weekend in Philly to me is the launching pad. It's not we're in the middle of it and we're enjoying it. We're at the launch pad. This is going to take it to another level. Like we're just getting started.
As an executive, you got to think like that, correct?
You have to, but I was in the thick of it in the Attitude Era. I know what it felt like, and I know what it felt like when it was going down and sort of the ups and downs of it. And that's just how I feel about it. It's not me trying to bullshit myself into thinking like there's something bigger to come. I feel like that's the reality of it. It's the beginning of it. It's the launch pad of it. Just like for you, and not blowing smoke at you, what you're doing and what you've done here as a performer and as an athlete is incredible. But you're just getting started, right? Like people talking about your run here. Yeah, but you're the beginning of it. Like
Run. He's like crawling. You don't even have a finish. Do you have a finishing move?
Kinda. I mean, not really. No, kinda.
The brass knucks, I think, is his
Yeah,
finishing.
Cheating is your finishing move?
Pretty much, yeah.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, brother.
Unreal, bro. Unreal.
Nah, but you're
That
right.
jealousy's thick over there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. You can spot a trend, right? Do you think there's any coincidence between the attachment of my good friend Logan Paul to the organization and the current pop that we're seeing with?
I think it's all of it, right? Like, if the business is not going well, then people don't want to be involved in it from outside. So I think there has to be some semblance of something there, but then all those pieces add to it. Is Rock responsible for the big drive right now? Certainly a part of it,
For sure.
right? But we were on an upward trend in a big way before. I feel like there's just a turnaround there, but all the pieces connect to it, and people try to, I think, put responsibility on things in certain eras. Was it Hogan in that era? Was it Austin in the other era? Right? Like it's not one. It's all the stuff that's going on, because you can't just have one thing in a 3-hour show or a 4-hour show or whatever that is that's hot, and the rest of it is just there.
It's not enough.
It's got to be across the board. Not every single thing, but it's got to be across the board pretty solid. And I think that's where we are now. And so everything lends itself to that success, but certainly you being a part of it is a big key in it, right, as well.
Well, I can tell you as an employee, as someone who technically works for you guys, it's like the greatest job in the world, and I guarantee everyone on this poster would say the same, especially now because I feel like the performers and athletes have such freedom to kind of just be themselves and pitch ideas and not have fear of being shut down. I take pride in my role of trying to get viral internet moments and content to capture people who might not be interested in the WWE. I think that's where I provide the most value to you guys. You know, I'm the outsider. I'm the social media guy, and that's how my brain works. Even something as simple as drawing on the Elimination Chamber. I asked you before the Elimination Chamber. I'm like, hey, I have this idea. Like, if I brought like a marker in, and if I'm waiting in that pod, can I just like draw stuff?
Can I doodle?
Can I doodle? And he's like, yeah, just don't do it during like any big moments. I don't see how that could be a problem. Dude, this video is like one of my most viewed videos of all time. It's got like a collective like 150 million views. It's insane. And I think people who aren't interested in WWE will see that and be like, this is interesting. He's in a pod at the, what's this, Elimination Chamber? I might tune into that next time.
Yeah, and then they watch a clip of it, or they watch you an action clip, and then that's spectacular, and then they're, I want to sample this whole thing, and they start to catch on to the stories, and then that's what brings them back, right?
It's the storytelling.
That's what brings you back.
Bingo. It's the hook. It's the claws. It grasps people. And right now, you guys are absolutely nailing it. But you're saying this is the launch pad, and it's going to be the biggest WrestleMania ever. How do you keep it going? Because that's always the hardest part.
Yeah, look, it's the hardest part. It's the part when you get to it's like training where you're trying to break your records, and you break your record and you smoke it, like you crush it, right? Where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that well. Like I smoked it. And then the following week you got to try to beat that record again, and you're like, fuck, I should have sandbagged it last week a little bit, right? Like the excitement level that's the challenge, is always one-upping yourself, always getting to that next level, always trying to keep your eye on all these things that are happening and try to keep them excelling. It's difficult, but that's man, I don't know, that I live for that. I live for that challenge. I love that. Like that, if you're not thriving in that, then you're in the wrong business, you know? And to me, exactly what you said about that collaborative effort, I love that. Like you come to me with an idea, I want to start out thinking, well, that could be cool. How does that work, right? And then, unless I can't get to a place to make it work, I want to go with it. And then, because if it fails and it doesn't work and it's terrible, I go like, yeah, well, let's not do that one again, right? Let's it.
I think in a creative position like yours or any creative industry, that yes but no mentality works really well. I love applying that to my life. Just because I'm a creative and I want to make everything work, but then if it doesn't, it just doesn't.
Yeah, start with the yes, right? Like start with and I think for a long time, and this is not a shot at anything, but for a long time, people were hesitant with ideas and to try them of like, ooh, I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want this to be bad. And like, we all joke about killing the business, right? I don't want to kill the business. But, I've been told that a million times in my career. Yeah, God, you're killing the business, right? It's still here.
Yeah.
I didn't kill it. Like, and we've done a lot of stuff. There's stuff I've done that I think like, man, I wish I didn't do that. That was terrible.
Well, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. And so just lean towards the yes on things. And unless there's stuff that's just logistically not possible or something that you're just adamantly like, yeah, no, I've seen that before. It's not going to work. Right. Like that's different. But let's start at that yes and let's run with it and go and see what we can come up with. And sometimes the things that don't go the way you thought they would, that chaos, I use this term a lot with the writing team, like chaos brings greatness, because stuff will happen. Somebody gets injured where you're like, oh man, we had this great thing laid out and this is so incredible. And then somebody gets hurt and you're like, oh, it changes everything. This is doom. And then a week later, you're like, well, wait a minute though. If we did this, oh, you know what? That's even better than what we had. Holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
more often than not, I find stuff comes out of that greatness comes out of this misery that you thought was going to be terrible, and then it ends up being something really good.
Do you know what I'm going to ask next?
No.
Based on that? Chaos brings greatness. The Rock
Yeah.
coming back to the WWE.
Yeah. Look, again, that's an example of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have these, and talk about what you want going into WrestleMania. We had plans very early, right? So if you would have asked me in October, I could have told you probably 90% of what I thought WrestleMania was going to be in what my mind was some pretty good accuracy. But then you end up where you lose guys. CM Punk goes away, all this other stuff, right? It changes your dynamic. And then all of a sudden, there was talk about maybe Rock might try to do something this year. We're not really sure. And he, I've heard that a lot. Like, even me personally, he and I have shot an angle before, and then his schedule changed and he just couldn't, we were locked in WrestleMania. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going. And then his schedule changed and just couldn't make it happen. Right. So I get it. But as that becomes a reality, you have to shift thinking. And then there's a lot of different thoughts and what the camps are. And then, hey, okay, we're going to do this. We think that'll be good. Or like some people thought, Rock coming in and challenging Roman and Cody moving over would be a great thing. And other people thought this is not going to work and be really tough.
Oh, so there was a back and forth?
There was a back and forth for sure.
And why did you land on The Rock kind of pushing Cody to the side? Like, what made you make that decision?
At a certain point in time, you just have to pick a.
It was Dwayne, admit it.
No, you just have to look. You can make the argument that Cody Roman in the story where we was massive. Then you can also make an argument to the biggest star in the world comes into your product to face the biggest guy that you have in the product in Roman Reigns. Like, Jesus, that's huge. This is like a win-win, right? So we do it, and some people are like, this is going to be the reaction, and some people are like, this is going to be the reaction. It'll be exact opposite. And then the beauty of our business is they tell us. There's 10, 20, 30,000 people in an arena every night going, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And you have to filter all the other crap out, right? Because there's a lot of noise in there and all that, and get to the heart of it. And once you get to the heart of it, they're sort of telling you where to go.
Not sorta on this one.
No, pretty adamantly.
Did you ever expect the response to Rock vs. Reigns to be that one-sided and that loud on social media?
I'll be so honest, for me, I did. But like, this wasn't one of those ones where I was like so adamantly, like I could see both sides. But I felt like, I kept saying like, I just don't want you to get booed in this, And then when they went where they went, in all fairness, like, people forget how you don't get to where Rock is, the level of success that he has across the board on everything, without being super sensitive and dialed into what is working and what is not working.
Aware.
Yeah, and you're not going to hit 1,000% on everything, right? But like, you have to be aware. And in all fairness, man, when that happened, we all sat on it for a few days and we're rolling it around. And he was the guy that called me and he said, let me throw this at you.
Let me turn heel.
Yeah. And if you would have asked me 2 months earlier, hey, Rock comes in here, this goes, however it goes, whatever, what do you think about Rock turning heel? I would have said he'll never go for that, right? Because of his career and everything else, like him turning heel. But, he was the one that was like, what if we flip this? What if we do the tag? What if I turn heel? As soon as he said it, I was like, 1,000%. Like,
this is the answer.
Yeah, and to be honest, like for me, I could feel like, oh, this puts a whole fresh coat of paint on everything you do. You're not The Rock coming back in, giving me your greatest hits and sort of, but it's half Dwayne, half Rock, and like blurring that line of him. This is him coming in and full on playing a character, and they'll get that and they'll know that. But you can go all the way, down that road of being the bad guy, and they will, he keeps saying, take them on that ride, right? We used to That used to be a big term here, attitude era. We'll take him on this ride, right? Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's taking them on a ride, but they know it and they love it because they know they're on that ride. You know, they know who he is. They know what he does, but they also know they played a character, and he wisely was like, look, this unleashed something in me that's been in there, but I haven't let out.
Dude, I came all the way down to Philly, try to figure out my plans for the weekend, and I got no seats at
Well,
this.
there you go to SeatGeek, Mike. Thank you so much to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. We have a new discount code for you guys. You overused the last one. Everyone can use my new code, Logan10, for 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or not. That includes WrestleMania this weekend because concert season is also back. Artists like Drake, Nicki Minaj, Hozier, and Bad Bunny are on tour, and you already know that SeatGeek is the best place to get tickets. Like I said, WrestleMania is 2 nights. It's going to be incredible. Can't miss event. Go to SeatGeek, and no matter how many times you bought tickets using SeatGeek before, Logan 10 is going to get you 10% off your next order. Take out your phone, open the SeatGeek app, add the code Logan10 to your account. What are you waiting for? Do it now because this offer is only available for a limited time, and this WrestleMania is going to be crazy. Thank you so much, SeatGeek, for sponsoring the show. Back to the episode.
Somebody office-wise was with us the other day, was with me, and sat for a little bit as we were all collaborating together. And afterwards, they were like, oh, my God, is that? Like, how does that work? Like, is that just everybody overthinking? And I was like, no, that is why those guys, Roman Reigns, Cody, Seth, Rock, that's why they're all so good. They think of every detail. They mull it around. They shake it around. They might be 100% one camp, and then something's said, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. I feel differently about this now, and completely switch sides. They're wide open to that freedom of creativity. And when you are that, man, then, and you get in a room with a bunch of creative people, I say this all the time to me, like you mentioned earlier about people being themselves and being collaborative. Like, I'd rather have all the ideas. Filter out the ones that we don't think work, have all the ideas, and we'll pick the greatest. You know, that to me is better than one person coming in a room and saying, here's what we're going to do.
He's always been like that too.
Yeah.
He crowdsources ideas, and we've had a bunch of back and forth back a decade from now, where I've always said to him, like, pick your generals, have those conversations with those trusted individuals. But he always wants to crowdsource creative, and obviously it's worked out for him. So I think there's merit in both approaches. I do want to ask you, just from a behind the scenes standpoint, because I know the audience is interested in it. When that explosion of we want Cody and viral on every social media platform happens, is there like a oh shit moment where like you hit the war room? Like, do you guys like if you're a creator and you go viral for saying something stupid on a stream, like that pit in your stomach, your heart drops and you're like, fuck, did we fuck this up? Like, does that happen in the office?
It doesn't happen for me.
Right.
I'm always of the opinion, like, God damn, that was loud. Right? Like, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if there were crickets when it happened and like people were indifferent, that's death. Right? Creatively. Indifference is death. Different for what you guys do a little bit because of the whole cancel, you know, you do the wrong thing and like everybody loses their mind and they all want to jump on the cancel thing or whatever. To me, this is sort of like, you know, at the end of the day, this is entertainment. We're not curing diseases. We're not, you know, trying to figure out how to fly to Mars. We're not saving humanity. We're like creating entertainment that's supposed to be fun. The show's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have a good time watching it. At some points it's serious. At some points it's, you know, makes you emotional. At some points it just makes you laugh. At some points it's just fun, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be. So none of it is life and death. As long as it's loud, there's a massive reaction, positive or negative. Great, let's take that and run with that now. How do we manipulate that reaction?
Another piece of the puzzle.
Into another piece of the puzzle. You can't be married to, hey, we're making a left here, right? Like, I say this a lot about creative, and I've said in other interviews, so sorry if you're hearing it again, but like the creative's like a GPS, right? Like you put in where you want to go. You have your North Star that you follow. That's where you're trying to get to. But along the way, things are going to happen, and it's going to keep. You're going to just you have to keep rerouting and taking different turns and going all over the place, and just sort of keep your destination in mind. Along the way, though, you might decide I don't want to go there anymore. You know what? This is a better place to land, in our final destination, and then you shift the journey and you continue to move on. But you always have to have that North Star in front of you. If you do that and you're open to everything else, you can turn wherever you want. You'll still get to the same magic place, and it's the best it can be that way.
But you understand how insane it is that you have an organization as big as the WWE with as many people and the amount of infrastructure that you have that has the ability to pivot like that week after week.
It's different than anything else in the world.
I don't know if there's anything like it.
Even just, the ability to pivot. You're doing live TV, you have to be able to pivot, right?
Yeah.
You have to. Like, anything can happen. It's live. Think about everything we're doing just this week, right? We're here WrestleMania week, so, from the world and all the activities that are going to happen there. McAfee's doing his show from there. Like, there's video game tournaments. There's just all this fan activation. There'll be tens of thousands of people there every day to, all the setup for the shows that are going on. And then, we'll do the kickoff show Friday. We'll do SmackDown. We'll do Hall of Fame. On Saturday, they'll do NXT. On Saturday evening, we'll go into a 2-hour countdown show and then into however long WrestleMania takes. On Sunday, we'll do the Slammies, and then we'll go into a countdown show for 2 hours that'll go into another night of WrestleMania, only to come in the next day and go straight into a 3-hour Monday Night Raw and everything that comes with it. What other company in the world can create that much live content? And all of it happening live, and you have to pivot on every single piece of it. You got to be ready for everything at all times.
Nobody.
But at the end of the day, it's going to go live, so it is going to be what it is going to be. It's going to be great. You just got to trust it.
Sounds exhausting, Paul. Like, how are you not exhausted, man? I shoot you a text, I feel bad. I'm like, he's wasting energy on my text.
No.
He needs that energy.
No, I do picture you texting me, laying around on your couch doing nothing with your feet up.
That is what's that. That's exactly
in Puerto Rico, by the way.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's
with the
palm
beach.
trees, sunny.
Yeah, I picture. That's how I picture you when I'm in the middle of 8 things and you text me. But it's all great. Like, it's like you. If you have a passion for something, and I don't want to sound cliched about it, but if you have a passion for something and what you do, right, you don't really work. You enjoy what you do, right? Yep. So, you wake up in the morning thinking about, like, oh man, I got all this shit I got to do today. This is great. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to do that. Like, here's all the stuff I got to accomplish. So you sort of charge into the day as opposed to waking up going like, oh,
another day.
Yeah, I got to flip burgers again. Like, I hate flipping burgers, whatever that is. You know what I mean? And you have to go about your day. It's awesome. I feel privileged to be able to do it, especially where I am in my life and my career and all that stuff, to be doing what I'm doing. I could have never imagined it.
Neither could the fans. Kevin, my videographer and roommate, turns on WWE matches while we work out in the gym. And a lot of them are you. And it's crazy watching Triple H wrestle with this long, blonde, luscious hair yoked out of your mind. and I'm watching like, yo, that guy's my boss. It makes like a lot of the decisions for this company now. And like seeing that extrapolation makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of fans, it's fascinating that you ended up here. And like, I don't think anyone would have thought that guy would have been in charge.
It's the journey is crazy to me, right? Like, you just start down the road. I just want to be really good at this. And that's how I approached my career, and the rest of it sort of took care of itself. But then when I got to WWE, I really enjoyed the behind the scenes and the creative. And at the time, I was given an opportunity to be sort of a part of that. And I latched onto it. I didn't get paid more money. I didn't, I would come to production meetings on TV days at 10 a.m. when everybody else had to show up at 1. I wasn't being paid for that. I just got asked, hey, you got good creative ideas. Would you mind sitting in on this and helping out? And I was like, okay. And it wasn't my stuff. 90% of what we talked about had nothing to do with me. Matter of fact, I didn't like talking about my stuff that much because I always felt like everybody thinks like I'm just trying to go into business for myself. I would just weigh in on all this other stuff, and clearly the ideas were liked or whatever, and then you just head down that road and you end there, and you're just work hard at it. But I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. I enjoyed, even at that time, I enjoyed the sort of the thought process and creative process that goes into it as much as I did doing it, which I suppose is if you were an actor in Hollywood or something, it's if you got into the directing
Producing side.
aspect of it.
Yep.
Yeah, producing, and you thought like, man, I love this just as much as being on camera. That's how I see it, and I just enjoyed that part a lot. So it was a nice transition for me when I got sort of towards the end of my career, and just was I just sort of transitioned into doing more of that and less of the wrestling, and went from there.
Well, there's obviously a facade of these like giant, burly, testosterone driven, men throwing each other off the top ropes, but like it's an obvious testament to the intelligence and true understanding of the WWE organization that yourself or Roman or Rock has, that they can then pivot and contribute holistically to the organization after their days throwing each other around is done.
Not just that, they can kind of do anything, dude.
For sure. No, for
wrestlers
sure.
I've learned this. Wrestlers are super
At this level.
cerebral.
Yeah.
Like
So-
they're intelligent dudes that look like meatheads.
Exactly. That's what I was
Unless
saying.
you're Kevin Owens.
So many
Especially at the top, the guys that really make it are the smartest, right? Like I can go through this list, right? Rock, genius. Roman, genius.
like legit.
Yeah, Cody, genius, right? Seth, genius.
What about Dave Batista?
Yeah, Dave's really you look at what Dave's doing, and super intelligent, and also just the guts to say like, I'm going to walk away from this. I'm making millions of dollars, and I'm going to walk away from this, and I'm going to try to get in Hollywood because that's something I really would like to do and is a future for me. But to have the guts to do that to a point where you kind of lose everything. Like you spend all your money trying to do this next thing. You're living on someone's couch, right? You're getting told no. Every single door you knock on, they tell you no, and then bang, bang, bang.
Starts to work.
It starts to work, and it starts to kick in, right? Right? Again, not to blow smoke at you. Dude, you don't do all the shit you're doing without being a genius. Like you're really, really smart. That's what makes you good at what we do. You see all the stuff we're doing. You're also a great athlete, but I can make you a list of not great athletes that were great at this business and made a fortune in this business. It's not just about the athletics. It's about all the other pieces. And that EQ, that emotional, right? That to be able to read emotions and people and connect with them. That's what we do. So if you have that, if your EQ is high, you're going to do really well at this. The people that aren't, the people that don't have that or aren't as smart. I learned that a long time ago. Like, hey, this guy's a really good athlete. He's just not the swiftest, right? Or just doesn't have a good EQ, like can't feel things.
Would you like to name one of those people in specific?
No, not particularly
Anybody
at
you're
this
thinking of
moment.
right
Yeah, I got a list in my head. I don't want to say them out loud. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about this Rock thing.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm obviously super intrigued by this like heel route. I saw this Instagram post from him that I'm sure everyone in the world saw. You know which one I'm talking about, maybe. I hate constraints and bullshit rules, and just because some WWE producer says clear, that doesn't mean I just stop what I'm doing and tell everyone great job. Fuck that. I say it the way I want to say it. I do it the way I want to do it. My choice, our choice. Do you see a world where The Rock as a heel is a potential ego clash with the boss or the office?
So, it's a funny thing is you have to look at all this. The one thing he is a pro, right? So all that stuff it's amazing, and it's amazing content and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he's a pro. We sit in a room, we talk this all out, we go through it. It's great. If we came to him and said, this is a problem for us, and we got to change this. Maybe he would argue back. Maybe he would have a different point of view. But at the end of the day, if Nick or myself still went to him and said, hey, here's where we got to get to, he'd be like, okay, right? Like, but when he says he's taking you on a ride, and this is the genius, is blurring the lines between fiction and reality to a place that even people that are close to it are going like, I think he's taking a piss on us right here. Like, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, calm down. He's not like you're on the ride now.
Right.
You've pulled the handle in, and you're on the roller coaster. Like, just calm down. Like, we're driving. He's driving, but we're all driving together. Right? We're all following the same GPS.
So you're not on the ride.
No, I am. So here's the thing: difficulty about the job that I do, and realistically everybody behind the scenes should do, is you have to take the ride.
Right.
Like I got to take the ride with everybody else. If I'm not looking at this as a fan, I've already failed. I've got to, oh man, this is so cool. And like, wow, Jesus taking me there. And this is crazy. And like, you know, I watch the show sometimes. Like I try, it's hard to do, but I try to take myself out of what we've written. Dusty Rhodes taught me this a long time ago, and I'll never forget it. We were working on NXT. He and I collaborated a lot in the early part of NXT and worked very well creatively together and had a lot of respect for each other and stuff. And there was one show we did where we had all this, I mean, what we had on paper was amazing. And we got done, and it wasn't as amazing as I thought it was going to be. I was like upset. Not like crazy or anything, but I was like clearly not upset. Dusty was really happy. And he saw me upset, and he walked by me, and he had all these cliches he would say, and he was like, "The booking ain't easy, kid," you know what I mean, and all that stuff. And he was saying all that, and then he walked by me, and he got serious for a second, and he said, "Let me just tell you something." He said, "Everything you see in your head is perfectly correct. If you get 70% of it to come out on that screen, that's a grand slam, right? Keep that in your head, 70%. So don't imagine this perfect scenario and expect it to be perfect. It's never going to be that. You're not doing it, other people are doing it. There's a million factors that go into it. 70% is a grand slam." So I've always tried to keep that in my head of like, oh, that was awesome. Just pictured it better. You know what I mean? But that's not a bad thing. It was still awesome. Nobody out there knows what you had laid out. Nobody out there knows what you had planned. So you sort of got to have your plan and your ideas and all that stuff and put it together. And then as it starts to take place, pull yourself out of it, sit back as a fan and watch it go down and either enjoy it or don't, right? There's sometimes just that didn't work for me and I think we're in a bad place. It just didn't work, right? Whatever. But if you can pull yourself out of it and you enjoy it, then it was really good. And that's what matters. It's not, man, would have been better if this little thing happened, would have been so much better or something. It's irrelevant.
There's been a lot of blood recently, and even some swear words, dare I say.
Yeah.
It's not Attitude Era-esque, but what's going on? Are we getting edgier before the Netflix pivot?
No, in a movie, I would rather watch a movie that has an incredible drama and an incredible build to one gunshot than watch a movie with just hundreds of people firing machine guns and no one's getting shot or whatever, and there's no, like, I'd rather build and get to the scene in the movie where the one shot happens and you're like, oh my God, can you believe he fucking shot him? And like, holy shit, that's unbelievable. There's been times when we as a company say we're PG and we've been G, like way G rated. I believe there's a time for things to work. There's a time for everything. But it's got to be done in moderation. It's got to be done when it's right. Because if you don't, if everything you say is just cussing, who cares, right? Like you just tune that out and it doesn't matter. But right now we're so clean on it that Rock says something, given his position and the disruptor and the guy coming in from the outside, it's believable that he has that leeway, doesn't care, and he can do those things, and it's shocking because it's not been that way, right? Cody gets busted open the other day. It's shocking, especially in the right scenario. It was powerful, meant a lot. That happens all the time. Who cares? You know what I mean? So it's not a shift of philosophy. It's just when it's needed, pull the trigger. But the discipline is only pulling the trigger when it really means something and when it's shocking, not when it's just, oh, we should do this.
When it counts.
Yeah, I should just use a bunch of profanity today. It doesn't matter. You don't need it.
It's actually a really good point.
It's a crutch, to be honest.
100%.
All that stuff is a crutch.
Yep.
I lived through the Attitude Era. Yeah, when, look, when we put matches together, every third word is the F-bomb, right? Like it's just how it is. And that's how people talk. But sort of just dialogue to really have it be meaningful. It's got to be here and there. I lived through a time period where blood was like an everyday thing, and it started to not mean anything. We'd be at a little town in the middle of nowhere wrestling in front of 2,000 people, and I'd look over and Flair'd be bleeding like a stuck pig, and I'd be, "What are you doing, dude? Like what? Yeah, what are you doing?" It just and nobody cared, right? Like no one. There wasn't even. I didn't even notice it happened because there was no big reaction to it or anything. It was all the time thing, and it just can't be that way. To make it be impactful, and you have to do it in moments when it means something,
and do it big when you do it.
Do it big and do it in moments when it means something. The bus thing with Rock and Cody was a holy shit moment for a lot of those reasons, and even Rock blurring the lines of putting content out after. Don't tell me to cut. I'll do this when I want to do it, and he's going off. Holy shit! Right?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. Meanwhile, if you really look at it from a sort of a creative standpoint, it's like, all right, well, look at Cody just get up and run away. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's storytelling,
I want to talk about this $5 billion Netflix deal. That's insane. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
What can we expect? I mean, how did that even come about? That's insane. It's monumental, just even for like television programming in general, for Netflix having a live event.
This to me is one of those paradigm shifting moments, like where the whole world changes, because Netflix was saying not going to get into live sports, not going to get into live sports, not going to get into live sports. Then I know Nick and I got a call from Ari and everyone saying Netflix is interested. We got to get over the hurdle of the live sport thing, but they're interested. And then we all went in there for a meeting, and when we left, I was kind of like, well, they're really into this. It seems like, you know what I mean? And then it just went really quick from there. That's the genius of Nick and Ari and those guys to do that. But it's a shift of how they look at things. It's a shift for us. To me, I think 10 years from now, people are going to look at that day that announcement was made potentially. And I read this in a headline, so I didn't make it up, but it might potentially be seen as the day cable died, right? Because cable's on the decline, right? People switching to streaming. I have young kids. They don't watch anything. This is on at 8:00. I have to watch this.
I got to watch Green Acres on cable.
I watched The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Like, what do you watch? And when I watch cable, I tell Logan that I'm watching my favorite program.
Yeah, program.
Because that's what I feel like. I watch like Twilight Zone or like Mr. Ed. You know what Mr. Ed is? Obviously talking horse. Of course I know. Like, that's what I feel like is on cable.
Yeah. And look, the truth is, you can find Mr. Ed on a streaming service, watch it whenever you want to watch it, right? You're just too lazy to look it up and see where it is. But that's the fact. My kids, and they're normal everyday kids, right? They only watch cable like if it's the Super Bowl or a sporting event or something like that. And even then, like sporting events, a lot of them are on streaming services, so they kind of go there to watch them, So it's an interesting thing, an interesting play. How it's going to work, we're figuring all that out. Like we're crossing the T's and dotting the I's now, and trying to figure out exactly how this works. How does it all work on a streaming service? How does commercials factor in? And what is all of it? And we have until January to figure that all out. But it's exciting, and it's going to be monumental. That to me was the deal of all deals. Like, it was massive. They're going to be great partners. And the other thing is they want to do so much other stuff with WWE. Like they've bought into like what we are, and the creative and the IP and the stories and the characters and all that.
You talking about the PLEs?
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, it would seem odd to me for them to say, we want Raw. That's it. We're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem to be how they do business. So I think at some point when, down the road when SmackDown comes up, is that something of interest to them? Down the road when the PLEs come up on Peacock, that's probably something that's of interest to them. So it makes for interesting times and a really promising future.
Dude, that would be fucking insane. Just because of the audience that Netflix has built into their platform. If you can leverage their audience for your product, which is a great product, just to get more eyeballs. I mean, you go from, I don't know how many views like this WrestleMania will get, but like you'll be popping 20, 30, 40 million live viewers on your WrestleManias.
It's all potential, right? Like, I mean, they have like 280 million.
Oh my gosh.
Global.
Dude, that's insane.
You know, and that's, look, your brother's doing it,
I was
right?
just gonna say that's what I was trying to lead.
When I first heard that deal, and you know, I saw the announcement just like everybody else did, and was like, he's gonna fight Tyson, and then just in my mind, I was like, oh, that'll be a good pay-per-view, that'll be cool, like, and all that. And then I heard Netflix, and I was like, oh, they're gonna run a pay-per-view. And then when I realized, oh, no, it's just on Netflix, I was like, oh, my kid's a genius.
No, it's gonna be crazy.
Like, it's really smart. The viewership alone, like, it just, that's gambling on yourself and, you know, taking it to another level.
Do you think I could move from SmackDown to Raw when Raw goes to Netflix?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see people float all over the place. There's a thing called in a month or so. There's a thing called the draft.
Oh.
So that's when you can switch around and make moves, and you know, it's all open to giving the best shows available on all things. You know, like right now you're on Fox on broadcast, but we'll see.
I'd like to switch.
Wait, before we go too far off the topic, can I get your thoughts on Jake Paul Tyson as a fight as opposed to a program on Netflix? Like, what do you like? What happens, dude?
Yeah, you know, this is one of those things where, just for me, my just own personal opinion of how I feel about it. Like, I don't know. Like, can he do this? I see clips of him fighting, but I don't know, you know, or sparring or doing mitts or whatever, and I don't know when that's from. I don't know if that's brand new. I don't know, you know.
Can I make the comparison to Yoda in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Like, you know Yoda.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be hoppling around doing whatever. But when Yoda goes to
Activates.
battle, you can't be Yoda.
But that's that's a fiction. That's a movie, man.
Bro, who cares?
I don't know. I just think it's not Yoda. He's
Well,
a small
it's just an analogy.
alien man in a robe, like whatever he is.
But wait, that's his element.
Yeah,
When he
and let's
starts
also
punching.
be honest, though. It's like as if Yoda smoked a shit ton of weed.
Yeah.
Then
Mushroom,
yeah,
DMT.
LSD.
Yeah.
They're saying the sparring footage is recent.
I'm sure.
I don't know if it is, but
definitely
that's what I'm saying. And when you watch that sparring footage, I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see him at all.
Looks like he can hit like a tank.
Yeah.
And your brother's really good at keeping people outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's going to be sparring guys who fight like Mike as well. I saw the same footage you saw, and I think that everyone has seen, because it gets 60 million views a pop on IG. And like, I know he's old, but goddamn, he can hit so hard and he's still so fast in the ring.
Well, did you see Tyson's little interview that he did 2 days ago?
He's invincible.
He correct. But here's the thing: he actually is. Like, he's not just saying, like, he when he says that, he actually is invincible. Like he the way he described it, and I didn't expect this from him. Like, he said he's nervous right now. He's nervous to get in there. Like,
I mean, you got a young, hungry demon in front of you, bro.
me and you have had this conversation before, and Triple H will understand when I say this because he was around for this time. Like, there's boxers, there's good boxers, there's the greatest boxers in the world, and then there's Mike Tyson. He is not in a realm of understanding or existence with any other fighter that's ever existed. He's not a human. He would say it himself. He is an animal. He's an animal.
He's a destroyer.
A destroyer of worlds, right? And so, like, how do you prep for that? Like, how do you, regardless of age, someone that has no disregard, has no regard for human life whatsoever? Like, if you make him mad enough in the ring, it may turn from losing a fight to losing your life, like a homicide,
or an ear,
or yeah, exactly.
If the old Mike Tyson shows up for 5 minutes, like, how do you get past that? Right. He doesn't need to be there for the whole fight. He just needs to be there for 5 minutes.
For 5 seconds.
Yeah. I don't know. I hear your strategy and I see your strategy. I don't know that I wouldn't just run for 2 or 3 rounds and hope that he gets tired.
Maybe that's a strategy too. I don't know.
Yeah. Punches himself out after 2 or 3 rounds, and then you just come in there and pick him apart. But like, you know, I don't know. Like, and Look, my hat's off to both of them for taking the fight, and I understand people's concerns for Mike and all that stuff. He's a grown man. If he wants to take that challenge, and medically they check him out and they say he's okay, like, let's go.
Do they test for DMT?
100%.
Do they actually?
100%. Mikey, your test came back. Have you been smoking toad yesterday?
It's in Chihuahua, Mexico.
It's so high, he just got all the people that were doing the testing really high, and they just passed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan.
Boss, I'm the U.S. champ. As you can see, there's my belt.
I see it.
For at least a couple more days.
I want to remain the U.S. champ. How can I beat Randy Orton? Because he's the largest guy like I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and Randy Orton is like the guy that, you know, and I've known Randy since he first started and kid in the business. He is just so gifted at this. Like, I used to tell him all the time when we first started Evolution, I'd tell him all the time, like, I wish you could just get it through your head. The only guy that can fuck this up for you is you. And you're hell-bent on doing it. But like stop. You know what I mean? Like, stop. You're going to do this for a long time, and you're going to be on top for a long time. You just got to let it happen and stop being a mess and angry and all these things. And sometimes it's hard when you're that good and you're that gifted to not get lazy about it, right? Like, I've seen a lot of gifted people fail in this business because they're just so reliant on it that it's easy for them that they don't try, like they don't put effort in all the time, and it is a detriment to their career. They end up not making it because of it. Randy finally got himself to a point where, you know, he tried. So he's tough. He's and I know you haven't really done a lot of stuff with him yet, but when you get in there with him, he's so smooth. Everything he does has meaning. Like, and I know that's you're in the middle of it and all that stuff, but you're so new at this. You will learn so much from being in the ring with him, win or lose. Like, the experience, like, you'll come out of it way better than when you went in. It'll be great.
Great. I do get the pleasure of getting these master classes because these people who I'm wrestling are veterans. And when I'm in there, it's like 18 minutes of knowledge just being beamed into my brain.
Yeah, and even all the leading up to it, like all these things that I can look back at my career and think of times when I worked with guys when I didn't think anything of it at the time. But looking back at it now, I was like, oh my God, that was such a learning experience for me. I left that so different and picked up so much stuff from all these guys, but I didn't see it at the time, right? I think you'll look back at this 10 years from now and be like, dude, Randy taught me so much just in those matches that we had. And, you know, it's amazing. But he's one of a kind.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, you know, Kevin is like, look, I know you guys have a thing, but like,
there's no thing. I joke, but like I fully respect Kevin. Like, he's very, very good.
Yeah.
But like, I'm still gonna make fun of him.
There used to be a guy here, Savio Vega, and there was a couple other guys that I used to refer to as bumblebees because they're like, a bumblebee scientifically is not supposed to be able to fly.
Yeah.
I've always read that, right? But yet it can fly, right? And there would be all these guys that you would look at and you would go like, you shouldn't be able to do all the stuff you do. Like, you know, when you look at Kevin, you don't look at him and go like, athletic specimen right there.
No,
look
it
at
makes
that.
no sense.
Yeah, right. And then you see him do stuff and you're like, dude, this guy's incredible. He can do anything, like anything. And it's a weird blend there, but Kevin's one of them. You talk about another guy, like when we talked about intelligence, like Kevin's an incredibly smart guy. That's why he's so good at what he does as well.
So, two smart animals, and y'all put me in there with them in a triple threat match this WrestleMania. Thanks for nothing, Nick Aldis. I don't care that you hurt your shoulder.
Towards bicep, actually.
I don't care about your bicep.
Yeah.
It's a bad injury, man.
Yeah. Although he could end up with like one of those freak Scott Steiner peaks or something like that.
That's right.
Be even better. Yeah.
One thing I'm extremely excited for this WrestleMania: Prime logo center ring.
Prime logo center ring.
I actually can't believe it's happening. Can you tell me how that decision was reached? Because there's never been a logo center ring, or has there?
No, we've done little things here and there with logos. WCW did some a long time ago with logos. You see them in boxing. It's tough in what we do. There's a safety factor of the slipperiness of the ring. As you know, we've been going through this process and trying to get on the other side of that, and we were finally able to make it work. But it took a long time to get there. There's a different shift in philosophy. This is not the WWE that it was before. This is a WWE under TKO. and how they look at it and how they sell things is different. So that center mat logo is obviously sort of like holy ground in a way, and the fact that you're here and such a big star, and yet are also your company, your prime brand is taking that real estate up. That's a massive feather in your cap, dude.
No, for sure, man. It's going to be crazy to be wrestling on it, to see my peers wrestling on it. I actually can't believe it's happening. It's going to be a bit of a surreal moment walking in and seeing that logo on the ring. But like, just from our side, we're so excited about this partnership, dude. We have these custom WrestleMania bottles that'll be sprinkled around the arena. We're doing an activation at WWE World with like an impossible to open Prime bottle, and hopefully someone's going to open it, but it's impossible. So we'll see.
It's like the King Arthur sword.
It's exactly
right?
like that. Yeah.
It's cool.
It's going to end up being some like 2-year-old, I guarantee it. But yeah.
What do you win if you get the cap off?
I told them to put $10K in it.
Okay.
Cash. It's cool. You should go to WWE World and try.
Well, is it a normal size bottle?
No, it's huge.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
It's like this big.
Got it.
Yeah, man, we're really pumped. We want it all to go right. I'm eager to see how people will react to it, if at all, because I feel like it's going to be one of those things where eventually it just blends in.
Yeah.
Look, like no one knows that the monster logo's in the middle of the UFC ring.
No one likes change, right?
Yeah.
And they're so used to seeing this thing pristine with nothing there that might get 90% of people hate it, right? They're gonna hate it. They're gonna do all this stuff. And then, as you said, as you move forward, it's there. It's just there. You know what I mean? And if you're watching every single day, you stop. If you don't like it, you stop noticing it. But the advertisement of it and the promotion you get out of it is massive.
Let's see, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn,
it's gonna be
between WWE and UFC, people are just always getting their ass beat on top of Prime bottles.
Myself included.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
awesome. Even KSI.
Yeah.
Another bump from a member of the Logan Paul universe. Dude, we all go in there and get our asses beat at
That's
some
what
point.
he does. I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but at some point, you're going to wander in there and get punched in the face. It's just what he does. All the people around him take the abuse.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've already done it. Well, I got kicked in the face.
Remember when I said genius? There you go.
Yeah.
That's a genius.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
Hey,
I'll
you
give
should
it to
run
him.
in right there and get punched in the face. Well, I make my getaway. Yeah.
The UFC WWE TKO merger partnership is crazy. Any plans on it? It's been done a little bit. I know Michael Chandler did a little like UFC promo at a WWE event, but is there going to be any crossover between the athletes? And
I mean, I don't know. I think that's all on the table to do, but their athletes are pretty busy. Ours are pretty busy. I think that you're probably likely to, like Chandler coming on ours, or Rey Mysterio was at a fight a little while ago for UFC and did some stuff with them. I think you'll see stuff like that. I think you'll also see us going into markets with combined events. So like, where we go in on, maybe it's a Friday and there's a SmackDown, and then Saturday there's a UFC fight, and then Sunday there's something WWE, and where you go into a region and sort of just take over.
that's awesome.
So we're looking at, experiences like that and different ways to combine the two. But, while there's similarities to what we do because it's, combat centric, we couldn't be any more different, right? Like, I remember having a conversation with Dana a long time ago. We were at the ESPYs on a red carpet, and they had just done the China Performance Institute and all that stuff. They just made all this massive investment there. And I had said it had just come out, and we were talking, and I said, hey, congratulations on the China stuff. He was like, yeah, no, it's awesome time right now. He's like, I just have to get the Chinese girl to win on Saturday because they had a pay-per-view. And he's like, if she wins, it's awesome. If she doesn't, like, I'm doomed. And I was like, it's the beauty of what we do. Like, I know she wins in our sport, right? Like, it's different. So there's such a difference in what we do. It's hard to blend the two, except for when it works. But they sort of almost have to be separate from, like, Brock wasn't actively fighting while he was here doing this. I think you sort of have to be all in on one or the other. Tough to do both.
Is there anybody that you see currently in the WWE sphere that has a skill set that would lend itself to potentially doing a cameo in the UFC?
And I don't know. That sport is so difficult. Like, even there's some guys that were work for us that have strong amateur backgrounds or whatever, right? Yeah, you know, the amateur wrestling, Chad Gable or whatever. But like, that's a whole different world when somebody starts punching and kicking at you too. Like, you know, there's so many factors to that. So for me to say, oh, I think this person from our world would do good because they seem like they're tough,
Send me.
It's irrelevant.
Send me.
Yeah, well, you might do, right? Yeah, you know.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I wrestled.
I don't know. Yeah,
I wrestle now.
Yeah.
I would do it. I would totally do it.
Yeah?
If for the right dance partner, yeah, I would love to do a UFC fight. And now that, you know, you guys are partners,
Yeah.
I think at the right time,
Sure.
it could make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Man, who the hell are you gonna fight, bro? And I mean, don't look at me like that, but I just mean like
I don't know. Who do you want me to fight, Mike?
maybe Connor or something like
Man,
that.
you're-
but it would have to be like
it-
right now, like
it-
straight off a binge weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Like no training.
Yeah.
Like that fight would work.
Like
But
he's
bro,
actually hung over when he shows
yeah,
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that would work. Like current like Roadhouse movie promoting Connor, like showing up
Like,
with
the movie's
Jabberjaw.
great, man. G and Jake Gyllenhaal.
That might work.
Did the movie?
I don't know what was going on there.
Oh, you know what was going
I
on,
know
brother.
what was going on
You
there.
know what was
Yeah,
going on.
I do. But wait, what? Yeah, who else could?
It doesn't matter. Point is,
Yeah.
I'm your guy.
All
I
right.
seriously am your guy.
He doesn't believe you.
No, look, I do. I don't want to see you sprawled out a Prime logo.
No, that's
You
no,
know.
no, because if I get my ass kicked,
Yeah.
my stock goes down. I come back here, no one believes me.
Actually, let me say that differently. It's okay if you're laid out on a Prime logo. It's not if you're in a Monster Energy.
Bro.
yeah.
Can you imagine?
And whoever it is would be dragging him right there.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make it happen.
We were talking about the Prime logo center ring and how it was slippery, and like you just said,
Yeah.
there was a whole process of figuring out like how to make it safe.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, we're covered in oil, we sweat, sometimes bleed. The logo gets slippery. And in my head, I just am thinking like, I know it's gonna be me that's gonna pull an ACL on the Prime logo for the first time. It's gonna be me.
Yeah.
It's going to contribute to an injury.
It is.
Laying around, squirming on top of your
Yeah,
own
dude.
product.
Yeah,
you know,
bro.
it's embarrassing.
Instant
Yeah.
karma. It'd be horrible.
Yeah, I can picture that. You know the meme where the guy hits the guy and the coins all come out of him? It'll be bad if it's all Prime bottles coming out of you,
Dude.
right before you lay out on the Monster Energy thing.
Do you have a Ghost X account? I feel like you're the one making those memes. Those coin memes are going crazy.
They're
on X
everywhere.
right now.
Yeah. You see them everywhere, right?
Yeah. Man, this is great. This is gonna be a fun WrestleMania.
It's going to be a blast. Yeah, I'm thrilled, excited. I'm excited for the talent. I'm excited for fans. And like I said before, I feel like this is the launching pad. It's the jump off point where we're going to go to a whole nother level.
You
now,
want to
so-
leak anything on our show today? You got any surprises planned? You want to hype anything up?
No, there'll be some. Look, it's WrestleMania, so you know you're going to get to see some cool stuff. And
Well, maybe tell them on our show here on this
Yeah,
platform
why-
what's going to happen.
yeah, why? I don't want to ruin it here. Why would you watch? Yeah.
I'm rooting for Cody. I'm rooting for Cody.
Are you? You want to see him finish the story?
I do. I really
Yeah.
do. I was one of the ones who tweeted.
Yeah, I want to
We
ask you
want
about
Cody.
that. When you're in the office in the oh shit mode and everybody, which I know you told me doesn't happen because you're just excited about the pop, but everybody's like, damn, yo, like the audience is really pissed about this switchover. And then you see young upstart star Logan Paul taking the fan side. Did you see that tweet? Did you
No,
hear
I-
about it? Did it get back to you?
You know, I look, you know, especially on that kind of stuff, you know, when you're looking at it, right, it feeds you all the people that you look at all the time, their stuff, right? So I saw it for sure. Man, I love that banter and that debate about it. That's what makes this so cool, right? Like, there's no, I mean, there is, but in a lot of this, there's no right and wrong, right? It's, Pat Patterson used to always say it's chocolate and vanilla, right? Like, it's all good, it's all ice cream, just what flavor you want. And I can give you 5 different flavors as we're moving down this line with this thing, but they're all good. You know, you almost kind of can't make a bad decision. But I did think it was cool, and we've seen it before, but I do think it's cool when you're telling a story that you're really invested in, right? Like, because obviously we're writing these stories, and at some point in time, you begin to take like, man, I know, here's where we're going. This is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And then something happens where you have to pivot, and you're like, oh man, really thought where we were going was good. And there's sort of a bit of a validation in there of fans being like, no, like you can't deviate off this. I've bought into this story. I'm in this now. Like you can't take a left turn all of a sudden in the middle of this thing that I'm so invested in. I'm not going to let you, right? And for them to be that passionate about it. I didn't watch it, but like Game of Thrones, when people were so upset, like at various points when the story would go a different way or at the end of the season. And so to me, when people were thinking, man, they screwed up, like they did this or whatever, I'm like, no, they didn't screw up. Like people are that passionate about their show. There's no screwing up there. Like people were that invested that they were losing their minds over them having a bad episode or a storyline that went the way that they thought it shouldn't have go. So when you see stuff like this where there's, especially when it's a storyline thing, like this was a storyline thing that shifted, like that's not screwing up. That's letting you know the story you were doing was working massively and let's figure out how to capitalize on that now,
Not to be too corny, but as a fan, it must feel really empowering to know that you have an influence live on how your favorite company makes its product. That's insane.
Look, I think it's
whether you cheer or boo, it's being heard.
Yeah, I think that it's one of the success points of WWE, right? Like any other sport or live thing that's happening, like you can boo and cheer. You can go to a sporting event and boo and cheer all you want. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Knockout's going to happen. Knockout's going to happen. Doesn't matter you like the guy, don't like the guy, right? You just either pick the right team or the wrong team. But in what we do, like that, everything we do is for that reaction. It's all built on that, right? When you get in the ring, everything you do is built on getting the biggest reaction throughout that match that you can. There was the moment the other night where Cody got to rock for the first time. And for me, like, it was the one moment in that whole thing I just couldn't wait for. Like, I was like, and because I approach a lot of this sometimes, I was a heel for most of my career, right? So, like, I look at it as that's that moment where you've built up all this heat and then you give them a taste of what it can be like if they get to you and they lose their minds. Like, that's the magic. That's what you work towards. And I don't know, a lot of guys see it that way, but that's really what it is. So like I was waiting for that moment because I know what's about to happen, and I'm like, they're gonna lose their minds when this happens, and they did, and it's just magic, So knowing where you're going and knowing how they're gonna react, but then I think for fans, knowing that them collectively booing something, or them collectively being indifferent about it, or them collectively cheering for it, can it at all times navigates where we're going. Tells us where to go, tells us where to turn, tells us how to pivot and do all that stuff. If they're buying tickets, they're buying merchandise, they're reacting certain ways, that's all guidance to what we're doing and where we're going creatively.
I watched Cody get to the Rock live. I was watching SmackDowns as I do. Was it Raw or SmackDown? Whatever it was, I was watching, and I too was really excited to see it finally happen. And my one takeaway was, man, Dwayne still got it.
Yeah,
yo, he can move.
That's what I said.
He can move.
Yeah, when he came back, I was like, dude, that's A plus heel selling right there, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and and my hat's off to him at, I don't know what's Dwayne, 52,
something like
somewhere
that.
in that ballpark or something, like, hasn't done this in a decade. Right, like in a big level, like my hat's off to him. It's not easy to do, and especially when you're doing it now and then.
Yeah,
and the now is really far away from the then. That's impressive. My hat's off to him,
and everything else that he's doing too at the same time. Like I was just thinking about, I wanted to ask you about this a little bit because I was coming in here today. I've been letting my hair grow out a little bit more because my mom and my girlfriend think it makes me look a little bit softer. She said I look like
I noticed when I walked in, you looked soft.
Yeah. Thanks, Triple H. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's my like sweeter, feminine side coming in. But I noticed on the side, a couple gray hairs were starting to pop out. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm getting the salt and pepper going.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you. No need to harp on the gray hairs. I just wanted to ask you if do you feel like the age getting to you at all? Do you feel like days are getting a little slower, a little harder, like, and you and The Rock and any of these guys, like, at what point does it start to catch up to you?
Yeah, like, look, there's a certain point in time, especially in this, right? It's a young man's business. So at a certain point in time when you've done this for a long time, like, yeah, stuff catches up to you. It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Right.
Right. And there's a lot of mileage. Anybody that came through that time frame in that era. You know, I see a lot of guys that are my age that came through that era, and I watch them walk around. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he can't move. You know,
Right.
I think you have to stay in shape. You got to keep working out. Like, we joke all the time, my wife and I, with our trainer, like, it's not training for an event. It's training for life now. It's just to be like, to get through life. Like, I still want to be active, do stuff with my kids, be able to do whatever I want to do. If, you know, we have a lake house, we want to go swimming, I want to go hiking, do whatever it is. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do and not have to be like, oh, my knees will be a wreck.
Nobody wants to throw their back out picking up groceries. Yeah. That's when you know it. That's when you know it's
exactly
you're in a tough spot.
Yeah, exactly. And you just can't let that happen to yourself. But at the same point in time, you know, I know a lot of people that never did anything physical that are in way worse shape. But there's mileage there, right? So you just have to, you got to take care of yourself. And I don't know, I get the gray hair stuff. Just pick up some just for men.
No, I think you maybe you know this. I don't know where you were at when you decided to take it all off, but like women, they like the salt and pepper, dude. Like yeah. Clooney crushes the gray and the salt and pepper.
Yeah,
like,
look, we're lucky as men, right? Women, it's
the opposite.
It's different, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you know, guys get a little bit of wrinkles and some character to their face, and you get some gray hairs and stuff. He's weathered. He's a great grizzled veteran, right? You know, and it works for you. It's there's something about that as you get older, more mature, and all that stuff, and it's cool. You know, you never hear, like, unfortunately, you never hear people say like, "Oh man, she's an." You know,
she really grew into it.
A grizzled, wiser woman. I'm really into that. You know, like, it's just not something you hear, right? Unfortunately,
right.
Luckily for us, you can age, and it fits some people and it works for them. Other people, not so much. But it just is what it is.
Well, they got science for that type of thing nowadays. So,
sure,
you know, we could all be as young as we want to be.
I also just think you got to accept shit, right? I don't know. There's a certain point in time to me where people just look. Like, yeah, you're fucking getting older. Like, stop, like, I don't know, putting in filler and all the other shit where your face doesn't move and you like, you laugh and you're like, ha, 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 ha. Nothing moves, right? Like, you're not fooling anybody. You're just looking an idiot.
But there's certain things you could do, like, without filler that people don't do. Like, dude, drink some water, man. Like, have some water. You know, like, water for men, like, the easiest thing you can do is put a fucking cheap CVS bought moisturizer on your face every morning and every night when you go to bed.
Logan,
moisturize.
Logan, can I just say this is a man petrified of his aging process right now. He has clearly done research.
No, those are so easy.
Holy
Water
shit,
and
these
moisturize.
the wrinkles on the side of my eye are driving me nuts. Like, I look old as shit. I got gray hair.
But he looks good. I think, especially because you know the whole decade of drug usage, like it somehow like preserved his face.
Well, they say you stay the age that you were when you started using drugs, and I think they mean physically too.
You know who says that? You know who says that? Drug addicts. Yeah.
I made that up right now.
Yeah. They convince themselves of that. No, it's all good. It stopped me from aging.
Yeah,
at that
dude,
point.
it did something good.
Yeah.
Pats or Geno's steaks, cheesesteaks, or would you even be able to answer that question?
No, I've had them both.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I spent started training when I was like 14, right? And was like obsessed with trying to be in WWE and all that stuff. And food became like fuel to me. It wasn't
smart food.
So it's a funny thing. Like, I'm still not
into it.
Just kind of eat right now. Like, I've downsized because I want to. I don't need to be 250 pounds. I need to be 225, 230 pounds is where I'm at. I don't need to be that big, so I don't eat as much. I eat when I'm hungry. But I still eat the same. Like, I eat super clean all the time. Every now and then I'll cheat, like, from out with my kids or something. But for the most part, just eat clean. So I don't even really think about
You're the same as him. Literally the exact same thing.
It's just I've done it so long, and you're probably the same way, that it just, I don't know. Like, even if we're going out on the weekend or something, and Steph goes, "Hey, let's go have a cheat. What do you really want to have?" I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. And then we'll go someplace and it's like all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, can I just I'll get a filet and a salad or something. You know, just, I don't know.
Eat to survive.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for pleasure.
Yeah.
Two different types of people. You know, some people are obsessive, and those are usually the fatter ones. As I said, I'm a bit softer since last time you saw me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that.
There could be an addictive factor there as well.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe there's a correlation. I don't know.
He's got it in him.
Yeah.
He ain't got that G.
There's a trend there, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Saying, look, and I say that from a place of all my friends were.
Yeah, right.
So,
You get it.
Yeah, I hung out with the worst ones.
Right.
Dude, this has been great.
Yeah.
Congratulations on all the success.
Same to you, man. I'm you know, it's funny, like watching you in what we do. Like you had kind of alluded it to me. I watched your fight where afterwards you said this boxing thing's like a hobby. I think I found my calling as a WWE superstar, and inside myself I was watching on TV and I was like, oh fuck yeah. there you go. He's got the bug. There you go. Like let's go now. I'm happy for you, man. Like you've said stuff to me just in little things in passing. When you said the thing to me about like, I want to be good at this. I don't want to train to have a match. I want to train to be good at this. Like that's cool. That's a commitment change with all the things you got going on and all the stuff. You don't have to think that way. It's awesome that you do, man. So my hat's off to you. I look at all the success that you have. You know, and I don't know well enough to say this, and I don't mean it as a you know, in the way that it could be taken, but like I'm proud of you, man. Like you should really be. You've done some amazing shit with your life, and you should be proud of that.
Thank you. Definitely really proud. I am excited to see how far I can take this WWE thing. And thanks for believing in me, man. It's going to be a great weekend. As someone who works for the company and your product, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you guys have built.
Thank you.
And keep up the hard work. It definitely does not go unnoticed.
Thanks.
The biggest WrestleMania ever this weekend. We want Cody. Cody, go finish that story, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, Triple H, Paul Levesque.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hit that subscribe button. We love you, Impaulsive audience. We'll see you next time. Peace.